Hello fellow witches and welcome to a new playthrough. This is Demon Phoenix, and you can see here that Geralt has a crossbow and his superior woven gear. So obviously you can see that something's a little bit different from a normal playthrough, and this is actually going to be my playthrough of The Witcher 3 using Piercing Cold on New Game Plus with a lower level start for New Game Plus. Now Piercing Cold's a fun mutation, it's extremely powerful, and what it makes it do is that Aard will do direct damage, and it can instantly kill enemies as well. So obviously it can knock enemies over like Aard always does, and it has a chance to instantly kill them as well as doing really high damage depending on your sign intensity and various other things. Now the playthrough that I'm going to do here is starting New Game Plus at a low level, because usually you'll be about level 50 something if you've done both expansions and most of the quests and everything else. And the problem is that enemies' sign intensity resistance skyrockets on New Game Plus. So basically what that means is that Piercing Cold can't really be used for a long time in New Game Plus, because at like level 60 or 65ish at some point you're going to get it so that Aard stops knocking down, and the big selling point of Piercing Cold is no longer working. And the problem with that is that also the high sign resistance from the enemies means that they're going to stop taking the damage that Aard Sweep does, or Aard in general with Piercing Cold deals when you're using the Piercing Cold mutation. So it becomes a lot less useful, which is a shame. But I figured that after I'd done my No Armor Deathmarch playthrough, I min-maxed the hell out of my inventory. I used the tips in my making money late game video and things like that to get as much money as possible. Managed to craft the Superior Woven set and the Grandmaster Griffin sets, though I would have those available for use at the relevant levels in New Game Plus, and I could actually start New Game Plus at a much lower level and make use of the Piercing Cold mutation throughout it. So that's what I'm really looking forward to doing here. So we've got the Superior Woven gear and we're using Piercing Cold, and we're also making use of another slightly lesser used ability that I've never really used on a full playthrough, which is Delayed Recovery. Now, Delayed Recovery is an alchemy skill, and I'll cover some of the things with that later. But basically it means that you can use all of your potions, and if you keep your toxicity high enough, you will be able to have all of the superior potions active at the same time, which is absolutely excellent. So we're going to get right into it here, and you'll see that I have beautiful game, and Roach has a cool armor as well, and you're going to see that I have these skills available, and we're going to jump right into it, fighting the first set of ghouls. So we have quite a few things, and with this being New Game Plus, I'm going to show a few of them off here. So one of the main selling points of New Game Plus is that you get to keep all of your stuff. So I have my necrophage oil here, and as you'll see later, I do have Piercing Cold and also Protective Coating, the skill there, as part of my build. Now, one of the great things about Delayed Recovery is it means that you can have stuff like Superior Petri Filter and Superior Blizzard active all the time. Superior Blizzard is a potion that doesn't last very long most of the time, but when you have it here, and you can see that that ghoul instantly died, which is always fun. When you have it here with Delayed Recovery, you can keep your toxicity high and be able to use that instead. So it's a ton of fun. These guys died already? Oh, everybody apart from him died. So you can see there that we've got a little bit of sign intensity. I'll be going over how I can make that a little bit higher a bit later. And we've got good stamina regeneration and everything else. So tons of fun that you can have with this build and mutation, especially with it being a lower level. We can, you know, keep it effective for hopefully most of the game, and I'm really looking forward to this playthrough to do a little bit of that. So something a little bit different to follow on from my other playthrough there. Now there are a bunch of ghouls down there that I could go and kick the hell out of as well, but I'm wanting to avoid most side quests and side experience gains in this particular playthrough, because again, the lower I can keep my experience, the lower level I'll stay at, and I can make better use of you know, Piercing Cold for longer, because the enemies will be less effective. So you can see there that Swallow should have run out. You can see that it's flashing there like it would normally when the potion was just about to run out. But because I have delayed recovery, that and the superior blizzard are staying active, which is excellent. Now this is the problem with it usually. You would have to keep your toxicity above 70 out of 100, and that doesn't give you a lot of leeway because most of the potions are like 20 points. So you can do it like that and just constantly try and use potions and everything else, but the way that I prefer to do it is use it with acquired tolerance, and that's what I'm going to be doing with this playthrough. So you can see here, I'm just going to wipe off the potions that we have currently using a white honey. And even though I have acquired tolerance equipped, because I've started New Game Plus, it has this weird thing where it won't actually take effect straight away on New Game Plus. So I've had to, you know, do that instead and keep that all under wraps. And this is what we're going to do. So we take off acquired tolerance and then immediately re-equip it. And what you'll see is that now it does take effect again, and I have toxicity over 262. And so what I'll be able to do is I will be able to use all of the potions. So you can't use decoctions with this ability, which is why I usually avoid it, but we'll be able to use all of the potions all at once. So we'll have Superior Blizzard, Golden Aureole, Petri Filter for that sign intensity damage, which translates to damage with piercing cold, Superior Full Moon, Superior Black Blood, and if you and the stuff like Drown of Pheromones as well, and then our core potions, which are extremely useful, which are the Superior Swallow, Superior Thunderbolt, Superior Tornial, that one's absolutely crucial, and the Superior Maribor. Now I've kept my Woven Superior gear. Well, I've made this because I was at the obviously on a no armor playthrough, so I've actually made the Woven Superior gear so I can use that instead, and this will serve me until I get to level 40, where I'll be able to equip the Grandmaster Griffin gear that I've made. So there's a lot of fun things in this playthrough that I'm looking forward to using. Now at the minute my sign intensity is only 124%, which isn't massive, but I will always have the Superior Petri Filter adding another 25% to that. But the main thing that we need the sign intensity for is this damage here, which is the damage that adds to piercing cold. So you can see the description in the middle about the Aard sign. It's cast. It has a 25% chance of freezing opponents. Opponent knocked down and frozen simultaneously and die, which is awesome. Opponents who are not frozen are dealt 3,364 damage. Now that is actually dependent on your sign intensity. So to boost those greater blue mutagens, we've actually got synergy. Now you can see here I just got a point because I was very close to level 32 already. So I've leveled up. I'm at level 32 there, and you can see that when I use this point, synergy will increase the value of the greater blue mutagens, and you just watch that damage go from 3,364, and that should go up a little bit. So if I take those off and reapply them, and now it's 3,409. So you can see the difference there in having that higher sign intensity and what a difference synergy makes. So this is why, even though it's nominally a sign build, I actually do have a greater amount of points in the alchemy tree because I needed to get down to synergy and delayed recovery, which are the main parts of the build. There's a few skills that I have here. Acquired tolerance, obviously very important. You can use delayed recovery without it, as I just showed before, but rather than having to constantly keep topping up the potions and risk the toxicity dropping below 70, it's much easier to manage if you have acquired tolerance, and it just makes the skill a lot easier to use. So I do think it's kind of worth a skill slot in this particular playthrough. We've only got the basic muscle memory and strength training to give us a bit of extra damage for the enemies that we'll need heavy attacks for, because not everything can be hurt by signs. Aard, far-reaching Aard and Aard Sweep are the main parts of the build, and then we have Magic Trap, Active Shield and Exploding Shield. Just have a few sign skills boosting the sign intensity parts here. Sadly, with Piercing Cold, you can only put Aard Sweep and you can only put blue skills in these slots, and it'll be a long way before I'm able to unlock the 3rd and 4th Strength and Synapses slot. Now, what I could actually choose to do is to put one of these slots in one of the outside. So even though I wouldn't at the moment be using this slot here, I can instead boost one of the blue mutagens and get more damage. So for example, if I was to take one out, I would take out here Endure Pain, which currently would be giving me a bit of extra vitality, but for now I'm just going to put this Aard Sweep out here, and you can see that the damage from Piercing Cold's gone up again because the blue skill is further boosting the greater blue mutagen here. So a lot of options with this, and it depends how you want to play it, but that's how I'm going to just use it for the moment. So we're just going to be carrying on here. Just going to grab these boxes because there's a few things that I do still want to be looting and things like that, and then I will make my way into the town just to continue with the rest of it. So let me have a look. Shouldn't be too far off here. There's sometimes some stuff to loot here as well, but don't really need that right now. So I have a lot less money than I would normally have at the start of New Game Plus, because I was a much lower level and I hadn't done Blood and Wine, which is where you get an enormous chunk of the money to be able to make the Grandmaster gear and things like that. And I wanted to keep my level as low as possible, so I couldn't just go farming the hand spaces and things like that. So yeah, basically what I had to do was min-max the hell out of selling all the things in my inventory, and I had to craft the Grandmaster Griffin armor from scratch. So it was quite tricky to be able to do all that, and I also made quite a few glyphs of Aard and Igni that I'll use later, and the Greater Vela's runestones. So I needed a lot of money, and I hadn't been doing all of the side quests and things like that in the no armor playthrough. So I had less money and less items than I would usually, but still fortunately had quite enough to be able to just about do it. So you can see here I've actually got 3,200 crowns, so not a lot really, considering that normally I would have somewhere in the region of 50,000 or more from doing the playthrough and starting New Game Plus. So it's going to be a slightly different type of thing. I don't have the money to just hurl at things, but by the same token I have absolutely no need to buy any armor, because I'll be using this Superior Woven set and the Superior Woven swords until I can equip the Grandmaster Griffin gear, the Grandmaster set that I've already made, and I'll be able to use that as soon as I get to level 40, and that will be in my chest, because I'll have stashed that before I you know, came to New Game Plus. So let's just have a quick check I've got all of that, and then we can go on from there. I just have to have a check that I've actually still got the gauntlets, because they were the last thing that I made. I'd actually not been able to make those, so I had to be restarting New Game Plus, so this is actually the second time, and hopefully I'll still have that and won't have to do it a third time, because that would be frustrating. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you can see I've got the Grandmaster Griffin gauntlets there, and the other parts will be in my stash, so that should be fine. I've got enough to buy the Gwent cards. I always love Gwent, so I'm just going to be doing a bit of that as well, as always. Right, let me have a look. Could have got a little bit of extra money by selling a couple of these dyes, because they're worth quite a lot, but in the end I decided I would just keep those in case I did feel like redying something later. So I've got these Greater Glyphs of Aard and Greater Glyphs of Igni that I'll be able to use a little later, and also the Greater Vela's runestones. So I'll be putting those in the Griffin swords when I get to the level where I can equip those. So I've got the Grandmaster Griffin boots, Grandmaster Griffin trousers, Grandmaster Griffin gauntlets, the Grandmaster Griffin chest piece itself, and then both of the Grandmaster swords. So when I get to level 40, I will be able to equip those. And I also did the quest in the Kaer Morhen area, which lets you, what's the word? I did the part of the quest there that lets you get a mastercrafted woven, what's the word, chest piece. So I'll have that to equip at level 34 as well. So that'll be very close to where I can actually equip that, and very early I'll be able to upgrade to the mastercrafted chest piece. So let's just do Gwent first, and then yeah, let's get the Gwent sorted, get that started. I'm actually going to be using the Nilfgaardian deck for the vast majority of this, but first things first, let's just use the Northern Realms deck, because it is extremely powerful. But I always I use the Northern Realms quite a lot, but it's like a little bit of I'd say a little more of a boring deck, to be perfectly honest. It's not quite as into it as I would be normally, so I do prefer the Nilfgaardian deck just because it takes a bit more tactics. And I love the style of using the spies and the medics and everything else. So yeah, it can be fun. Let's just skip a few of these out. Right, so should probably be able to win this game, I would think, pretty easily, especially because I've got all the Blue Stripes commandos and my medic and my decoy. It should be fine. Ha! And of course they use a Biting Frost, so never mind. I'll just get them to play a couple more cards. And I'll clear that off. And they'll probably pass the round, I would think. Oh, he's got one himself. Oh, fair enough. And this is just me wasting out their cards now. Because I'll be very easily able to win by replaying those in the next round. I would think, anyway. They have got the ability to play a torrential rain card, so they should really play it and take my catapult down to 1. But that's not really going to matter because they've only got 1 card left, so there's no possible combination that they could have that would beat me. Especially when I can replay all of these. No need for me to do this, obviously, but I like high scores, so... Anyway, so that's that. So that's the first Gwent game done. I am going to try and just use the Nilfgaardian deck from then on, so that'll be interesting to try. See if we can avoid using the Northern Realms deck altogether. It'll need me to maybe win 1 or 2 games actually with the Northern Realms, but there are a lot of the ones that you can actually buy for the Nilfgaardian deck from various places in Vellum when you get there, before you have to play anybody else at Gwent. So I think I have a decent chance at being able to get a deck of 22 and being able to do that from where we go from there, and just use the Nilfgaardian deck. So we're going to try that as well. So that might be the only game with Northern Realms that we actually have to play, but we'll see how that goes. Right, okay, so gotta fight these chumps. Get stuffed. Go away. One thing that a build can't really help you with is obviously deathmatch on those fights. The fist fights are really annoying whichever way you do them, so... But at least we can do a ton of damage, so... Take these guys out. They never really take very much on this, so that's them sorted. You get an enormous chunk of experience straight away just from that, so... Quite interesting. Anyway, let's see what Vesemir wants to say. Do we have to talk to him? Or do we just carry on? Who knows? Right, so we don't have anything to say to Vesemir, as awesome as he is. We're just going to carry on. Now, I haven't really decided how this playthrough is going to be. I'll probably play it quite like my other playthroughs, which is just, you know, making use of the build and things that I actually enjoy doing, which will be fun, so I'll do that as well. I might actually just try and take out a Chort, just because they're quite fun. Wait, get here. Invincible Witcher Geralt can't even take out a couple of cows when he wants to. Come here, Bessie. Die. Let's see, I wonder, could we beat the Chort at that level? Yeah, we probably could, to be honest. It'll be a Red Skull enemy, but... Let's see. Ooh, stressing out the guards a bit. The thing is, I don't want to beat him just yet, because if I don't beat it, then it'd be stuck around there for the whole time at White Orchard, so maybe I'll try that before I leave, just for a laugh. Anyway, we're going to carry on. Got a couple of things that we do want to do, but again, I'm not going to be too fussed on maximising the experience and things. I do want to be actually at a slightly lower level, if at all possible. So I may skip a couple of the quests and things like that. Like the brother missing one, but there'll be a few that I can do. I'll speak to Odolan. Got this guy as well. Do we want to speak to him and do Twisted Firestarter? No, not just yet. Grab a few Arenaria while I'm here. Always a good thing to do. It's a really good source of Arenaria. Again, you'll see me doing this on my regular, on my first playthrough. I have to be, I don't have to be quite so obsessive about actually looting things as much. Although I probably will anyway, because that's just what I'm like. But I don't really need the stuff. I mean, I'll need alcohol for meditating, because the delayed recovery build will use that quite a lot. But I can get a ton of that in Nilfgaard anyway, so I don't have to bother making a load of different things. So anyway, we'll see. And we've got Devil with the Well, we'll do that. And then we're going to go and grab all the places of power, which we can do very easily. Go from there. No point haggling for the reward. Don't really need the money so much anyway. And you always refuse the reward for this one, so not a problem. Right, so there's a few things that we want to do. We've got the notice board. I want to be going getting the places of power. So I should do that, really. This is definitely one here. But I don't have to bother about clearing out all the undiscovered locations and things. I just have to get the ones that I actually want, which are going to be the places of power, and I don't have to really worry about the rest. So the plan is for this to be a sort of smash and grab type playthrough where I just do just the things I want, keep it to just the core, and it won't be a particularly long playthrough by normal Witcher 3 standards, because I'll not be doing all of the stuff like the side quests and everything like that, because a lot of the aim will just be to keep to a lower level than usual and not maximize the experience I would get like if I was doing a normal playthrough, because I actually want Piercing Cold to stay as effective as possible and just go through the main story and some of these side quests. Now that's my plan, but obviously I would like to hear your feedback on it. So if you're watching, how would you like this to go? Is there any thing like that? Is that something that we'd be thinking about as a reasonable thing? I think that probably is how I'm going to do it, because my actual plan is to eventually do one of the Viper hybrid gear playthroughs, because I love my Viper hybrid gear, but I've never done a full playthrough with it. And so that's one of the things that I really want to get to grips with and eventually do. So that's the plan, is to do this one as a quick playthrough, just have a bit of fun with Piercing Cold, and then to be going through the playthrough a little differently with the full Viper hybrid playthrough from a high level New Game Plus, because that'll be a lot of fun for me, and that's the playthrough I really want to get my teeth into. So as you can see here, we've got a bunch of ghouls, so we're going to make good use of the build and get right into it. So we've got Protective Coating as one of the skills, so we can increase our defensive abilities a little bit, and then we can use all of these potions all at once. And this is the advantage of using the superior potions with acquired tolerance as well, is because you can find it easier to keep your toxicity above the 70% threshold, so that everything is active all the time, which is a ton of fun. So now I have all of these superior potions, and I also have Griffin School techniques with a fully medium armor set, which is a massive bonus. So you see there, we're doing poisoning, we're doing bleeding, and then we've got Aard sweep killing things as well. And we actually have enough intensity that we can very easily get the damage from, what's the word? Igni's burning as well, and this is before we've even got the Griffin set boosting our sign intensity even further. So tons of fun in this particular build, and that's why I decided to do the build this way, because it is a very powerful sort of kind of hybrid, but also signs based, so a lot of fun there. So that's cleared one of those. Now where is this bear that's guarding the place of power? Because that's what I want. So you can see here that as the toxicity wears off, I can gradually just use potions to keep it topped up. So we're already down there, and we can use another 25-point potion and keep it topped up, which is extremely useful. So yeah, get the bear burning there, and you can see that the stamina regeneration with the superior Tornial is extremely quick. We can do the damage there, and also you can do a bit of direct damage with Aard. So depending on the enemy, it doesn't do a lot of direct damage. You can see there, only because it's an enemy that can't be knocked over, you don't have a chance of actually killing it. But we can also deal damage with the Exploding Quen. And it's always possible to be able to do a good chunk of the damage with Igni's burning. So we've got that, and that's no problem at all. Bears go down, no worries either. So yeah, that's going to be this sort of basic playstyle, a lot of versatile options. I'm just going to grab all the places of power here, and that'll let me use them on other things than you would do normally. So you've got a lot of potion uses as well. So you've got a lot of because you have so many potions, you can use all of those up to keep your toxicity topped up before you have to meditate. So we'll use a lot of alcohol in this playthrough, but should have be plenty able to manage with the alcohol that we've got anyway. So just going to carry on. Just do devil with the well first. But before I come to do this, I'm just going to grab the place of power as well. Maybe it does, who knows. Right, so we're going through all this stuff. Want to avoid the griffin site for now, which is at the top of that hill. It's this bit that we want. And again, if I remember in between battles and things like that, just want to use all of these potions just to keep stuff topped up. I'll be doing that intermittently. I could just use the ones that I've got in my in the quick inventory, the superior maribor and swallow and all that kind of thing. That would mean that I have to meditate a little more often. So it's not a problem because you do get plenty of alcohol in the game. I'll spend a bit of time looting in Novigrad later, so just want to be going through this stuff as quickly as possible, getting all that sorted. Scorched, everything's scorched. So we're just going to look for everything here. The key thing with delayed recovery is just to stop your toxicity from dipping below 70. So as long as you can, you know, sort of keep it. I mean, with me having to meditate here anyway, it's probably not really that big a deal because I'm going to have to meditate to get the noon wraith out, so it's going to use an alcohol anyway. But yeah, it should be okay. So a bunch of stuff to grab there, all pretty pointless. Just going to do devil in the well as soon as possible. Do you see anything useful around here? Hello? Nope. Where are we at? What am I looking for? Oh, read the beast entry. Oh, okay. Oh, I've got to start my whole bestiary again. I had all this stuff. Never mind. Right. Another alkahest there. Where is this thing?
Stabbed with a knife, died on the spot. Animals fed on his body. Make the serum clean. That bracelet useful. Might be what ties the woman's spirit to this place. Barely visible.
Right, so we're just going to skip through this as soon as possible.
Someone who was still alive. Home. Nope. Another.
Cleared through all this stuff. Right, so now you can see that my toxicity is dropping there. So 76%. So this is how we're going to be using delayed recovery and just keeping things up. So any of the potions that can give us, like, you know, a decent boost, like superior full moon and petri, to keep those topped up. Should be able to do it fine. Is there anything else here? Not really. Don't really need this stuff, but you know, you never know.
Something's not right.
Nope. I'm going to pull this up. Right, so you got to jump in. Okay, that's that. Fun thing about delayed recovery is it'll keep all of your potions, like the superior, the killer whale potion, active as well. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. So you can just use that there as well. Make sure we've got everything here. Really don't need alchemy stuff, which is one of the great things about New Game Plus, because you keep all your alchemy, your bombs and everything else. You don't really have to worry about that as much, which is fun. Right, so we've got the bracelet and we just want to carry on. Make sure that we get out, which I believe is this way. You don't have to worry about getting the diagrams again. There's only a couple of things that you really need. There's the Church Law one and the Pops mold that you get from doing Dijkstra's quest. So there's a couple, and yeah, you can just, you know, pick up the odd ones that you're missing a little bit later. Just going to keep using those potions, keep things topped up. I should be able to keep those active pretty easily and then get back to the well and be able to take out the noon wraith. Seem to remember there being a chest about here somewhere, but
Drink some potions.
yeah. One of the things on New Game Plus, it's a real shame that delayed recovery doesn't actually stop your, doesn't actually slow your potion toxicity from going down. I think that would have been really helpful, but unfortunately that isn't the case. But it's still quite a fun skill to use, especially with this acquired tolerance, which isn't really necessary with delayed recovery. You can use it with just the 100 toxicity, but it's a lot less convenient to use. So I'm going to use it because normally it just bugs the hell out of me when we do that. So right. Right, so I want to burn this thing. And I haven't had to meditate, so I've still got it there, so that'll be fine. Hey, beautiful. Right, so get everything set up for this, no problem. So we've got our Spectre Oil, just top up the toxicity a little bit again. And we've actually got all of our bombs available as well. So you can see there that this thing does a little bit of damage, but not really a lot, especially with protective coating, which is always helpful, as it's one of the best skills in the game. We'll get the moon dust on there. Was that northern wind? Let me have a look. Yeah, that was northern wind, so we want the moon dust. There you go. And now this thing is extremely useful, so we can slow it down. Even though piercing cold doesn't do a lot of direct damage to it, you can see it still does about almost as much as one of my sword strikes, but you can see the power of having all of these things active all at once. Now, one of the useful things is it'll break off to have these type of wraiths that will drain your health back, but you can kill them with the piercing cold before they even get vaguely close to you, which is always fun. So you can slow this thing down, and things are going to be a lot of fun in this playthrough, because as you can see, it's extremely powerful all the time, which is tons of fun. Now I've actually got a couple of character points as well, so I can use it for a couple of other things. So we've got we could use Fire Stream there, but for now I'm just going to get Sustained Glyphs, which makes your Erden last a little bit longer and be a little more effective. So again, could just put it in this slot, or I could choose to put something else there. So I could put it over Poison Blades. The other ones are pretty essential, or I could put it over Protective Coating if I wanted to do that. So as much as I love Protective Coating, this isn't really a defensive build, so I'll try it without Protective Coating for a little bit, because I have plenty of other ways of keeping my health up and everything else, so that should be absolutely fine. Now I'll return to Odolan a little bit later. Don't need to collect the reward right now. So the other things I want to be doing is getting the places of power. So there's one here, two up here. I'll grab those just on the way to go and speaking to the Nilfgaardian and sorting those out. So this will be one of the very rare occasions when I don't actually explore much stuff in White Orchard. I'm just going to plough on with the regular things because it's all about just doing the story and just some of the side quests. I don't really have to explore as much at all. There'll be only certain key things that are really worth getting. So it won't really be an issue. So it'll be an interesting sort of playthrough. I'll probably end up quite light on money because I'll not be looting and things like that, and not be paying as much attention to some of the other things as I would normally. Like, no point me doing the frying pan quest here because I don't need the the food, because those food items can be a lot of help early in the game if you're using things like gourmet, but with this type of build and with being able to have swallow active and stuff, really don't need to do that, so it's not a problem. So let me have a look. Let's use a couple of these other potions and just keep it topped up really. And so you can see that there are a lot of ways to keep your actual toxicity topped up, because you have so many uses of the superior potions at all times. So normally after I've done this, there'll be a wraith turns up as I try and run away. But let's see. Yeah, there she is. And we'll just take her out. So again, do an absolute ton of damage anyway. And even if you do take a bit more damage without having protective coating, I can use things like the when there to get a bit of that health back. So that's why protective coating, as awesome as it is, probably isn't as necessary for this build. So, and you can see this is there where protective coating does really, not protective coating, where Aard Sweep really comes into play. It's just, it can be so powerful against enemies that can be knocked down. because not only does it actually knock them down, but it's just when they are actually on the ground, they can all be they all have a chance to get actually insta-killed, and they all take a ton of damage as well. And even the ones that don't get insta-killed are actually knocked down and susceptible to being hit like that anyway. So that is the power of this piercing cold build when you're at a low level, and you can really see how it turns out there. Now, one of the really weird things about it is you can hear the sound effects of the enemies you've killed, which is a weird little bug, so just going to have to get used to that if you're watching it through the playthrough. Very strange. But anyway, we're just going to go and grab all of the relevant places of power and use those. I could actually make the Viper swords as well, the legendary Viper swords. They'll have a little bit more damage. They have a good poisoning chance, so I could use those and drop poison blades for a little bit. But I think I'll probably just stick with the superior woven swords, because they have the really good runes in as well, because they have 3 slots. So again, could easily take out these drowners if I wanted, but just not really focused on maximising my experience or anything like that. Not too fussed about the side quests, so just going to be ploughing on. Just keep my toxicity up there. There'll be another wraith coming out here. And even though she is actually a red skull, I'll be quite easily able to keep up my health anyway, and should be able to wear it down pretty quickly. And there you can see the superior swallow just heals so quickly that it really doesn't matter that if you take any hits and things like that, which again is one of the reasons I'm not too fussed about having protective coating up at all times. Because you can just deal so much damage to the enemies using piercing cold and everything else. So a lot of the time I'll be able to actually damage heal the damage that enemies are doing, and I'll be able to deal damage and use the skills that I have in the build, so that protective coating isn't as necessary. And what that lets me do is it lets me have these blue skills on the outside skills instead, just boosting the power of these greater blue mutagens and dealing even more damage with piercing cold. So a few different tactics that I can use throughout this, and that's part of what I'll be doing. So I'll just get Quinn up, and then I'll be doing the same thing. So finish this thing off, and even though it's considerably higher level than me, it's going to go down really quickly there, and be able to use that. So I do love that combination of Griffin School techniques and the Aard sweep. There are a couple of different techniques you can use for keeping your stamina regeneration high, but with a hybrid build, this is probably the simplest one, which is to use Griffin School techniques to get the bonus from having 4 medium pieces of armour, and the Griffin School techniques skill to give you a boost there, and then making sure that you have superior Tawny Owl active all the time, which is what I've just done there. So another place of power sorted there, and we've got the Viper School, the diagram for the sword, the silver sword. We'll be able to make that if we want, but I'll just stick with these superior woven ones because they have a really good range of balances. Now I do have the Grandmaster Griffin swords ready for when I reach level 100, so that'll be a ton of fun, and I'll do that as well. So boom! I see. Oh, I love piercing cold. It's so much fun. Instant kill. You can see there that the damage didn't even flash up there because it was just an instant kill on that one. And when you're using Aard sweep, it only uses half of your stamina as well, so you get to use it almost instantly again. So yeah, loving this already. Just a ton of fun with this particular build. Right, so just going to grab all these things, and like I say, you can still hear them even after you've killed them, which is a strange little thing. Only seems to happen to me with piercing cold, so yeah, a bit strange, but just going to destroy the nest. Might as well while I'm here. Not that I need the experience or want the experience, but never mind. Grab them anyway. And that's most of the places of power, I think, from what I remember. So I could use Firestream. I want to get down to having this skill in particular, which gives me a bit of extra Aard intensity. So Firestream can be quite useful, so can Delusion. I'll get Firestream. Might find a place for that a little bit later. But for now, I'll just put these here, and that'll give my Aard an even greater boost. So what's our damage now? So yeah, 4,600, so it's just getting higher and higher. And that's why it's useful if you can drop a couple of the alchemy skills if they're not particularly necessary. light protective coating. Then I can just drop that instead. So now I've got a few of the sort of story bits to be doing now. So my toxicity probably will be wearing off at this point. And again, I'll just have to meditate a little bit later. So not a big problem. Did I just ignore the little Nilfgaardian camp? Yeah, I did. Well, I might as well grab this stuff while I'm here. So yeah, this will be an example where I'll just let my toxicity wear off, and you'll be able to see what I mean with delayed recovery. So right now you can see that I've got all these potions here showing a 0 time left. So Full Moon, Black Blood, Petrus Filter, Golden Oriole, Killer Whale, Thunderbolt. They should all have run out already, and Swallow. But the thing, I don't even have Blizzard active. Where's Blizzard? Oh yeah, it can only show a certain amount of boosts on the screen, so Blizzard would be active as well, but you can't see that many boosts on the screen at once. I forgot about that, because I didn't mean to do that. Right, grab that stuff, off we go. Yeah, but what you're going to see is that once my toxicity drops below 184, which is 70% of my toxicity, then those potions will stop taking effect, because delayed recovery will have worn off rather, after we have got to being below 70% of the toxicity. So I'll just kill these wolves first while they're active, might as well. And then you'll see that all of those potions suddenly stop working when it drops below 70%. And this is, like I say, why Aard Sweep is so potent with Piercing Cold when it is at these low levels, because you can just instantly wipe stuff out, which is tons of fun. Dimeritium ingot there, well worth having. Let's grab all this stuff. I mean, some things I'll just grab them in passing, because you never know when you're going to get a Dimeritium ingot, or useful things like that. So, but yeah, you can see there. So right now you can see my actual bonuses, and all of them have dropped off apart from the Superior Toenail, and that's because our toxicity went below that amount there. So when this happens, I can either meditate, which will use an alcohol straight away, or I can just use a Superior White Honey to clear off my toxicity entirely and get the most use out of my alcohol, because I've still got at least one use of all of my potions. What I'll be able to do is I'll be able to use those for the next encounter before meditating, so you can still stretch out the use of your potions that way. Now, if you wanted to, then you could drop all of the Buckthorn herb that you have, and if you're playing New Game Plus, normally I would recommend you do that. Now, because I have Buckthorn in my inventory already, what's going to happen is it's going to skip the part of the quest where I can speak to Tomira, and it'll also skip on Death's Door. So I'll lose out on a big chunk of experience in doing that. Now, I actually want to do that this time, because I don't want to be getting, too much experience. I'd rather keep things at a lower level so I don't get out-leveled by doing the main quests. So I'm actually perfectly happy staying at a lower level. So I'm going to keep those Buckthorn in my inventory. But usually if you're doing New Game Plus and you do want to maximise your experience, drop all of your Buckthorn before you speak to this guy, or it'll skip out this part of the quest. That's the same for if you're in a normal playthrough as well. You don't want to pick up the any Buckthorn from underwater before you speak to the Nilfgaardian commander. You want to speak to Tomira first, and you want to be able to do the... Let's have a look. Yeah, you want to be able to do the quest where you talk to her about Lena, the person who's been injured by the Griffin, and be able to make Swallow, because that gets you a ton of extra experience. I think it's about 400 or 500 experience, depending on your difficulty level and a couple of other things, because difficulty level affects that. But yeah, it can be really useful to do that. Oh dear. Run away. So that'll be because I stole something from them. Whoops. Oh no, I can't get out. Oh, this is going to be bad. Right, well, I think we'll probably end up dying here, so I'll have to reload in just a minute, but... God damn it, all of that for a lump of coal, are you serious? Never mind. Right, well this is what we were saying anyway. We still have a use of all of these potions. Just didn't really want to put it to the test right now, but never mind. This is going to be bad. Yeah, especially if I can't... Yeah. Whoops. Okay, so... Anyway, need to be careful. So if you're not burning those guys, don't steal stuff in front of them. Duh. Ha! Time to end this. Yeah, a little bit late for that girl, unfortunately. Yeah. Don't steal stuff from those guys. Just not with it. Really didn't mean to do that either. Oh, they took all my coin. How rude. Right, so we're just going to reload that because that was unnecessary. Where are we at? 9 o'clock. Is this before I've scrapped these guys? Yeah, I think it was. Anyway, so a lesson in not stealing from guards, even though they didn't even give me the warning there, which is a bit of a harsh. Normally you'll get a warning before you steal anything, so you can avoid doing that. Now, if you're using a combat alchemy build, like my well-run tank build, you can actually kill those guys, because they'd not be able to do the damage to you, which is always quite fun. But without having that level of resistances on this build, you can't really do that, especially because I took a protective coating off, so it's quite interesting. Hopefully it'll load pretty quickly anyway. I don't want to lose all that money because I do want to be able to buy the Gwent cards and everything else. So, yeah. Really don't think you can knock those guards over, so yeah, that's okay. Right, got my coin back there. Anyway, I'm tempted to try and fight them now, you know. Anyway, let's just avoid that because, like I say, we want to keep it as streamlined a playthrough as possible. Yeah. Right, so this is the fast travel. Yeah, fast travel, all good. Right, so don't know why it's sending me that way. That's the wrong end of the island for a start. It's more like it. Let's get Roach. Now, Roach has the maximum capacity saddles and saddlebags carried over from the Blood and Wine DLC because I had bought those by going to Toussaint early in my no armor playthrough. It's one of the fun little challenges I did. That was a ton of fun as well. So, how many places of power have we got? I think we're missing one so far. Let's have a look. Places of power, where are we? 1 out of 5. So where's the one I'm missing? It's one of these, but I can't remember which. Might be this one. Yeah, I think it might be that one. Because I think it's near the monster nest. Yeah, maybe. Let's go and grab that at some point anyway. But not right now. Grab that before we leave. So we're just going to smash through the main quests. Go and find the griffin and everything else. And as you can see, we don't have the asking Tamira about the buckthorn because we already had buckthorn in our inventory. So normal playthrough, don't pick that stuff up. You don't want to do that. Let's go through all this stuff.
Run, Roach.
Run, Roach. Got to ask the hunter and everything else.
Anyone home? Must be
Nope.
hunting.
Probably Geralt, probably.
Trail's fresh. His love just left home.
Alright, so just going to follow this guy, speak to him. And there he is. Right, so we've got to get through all this stuff. Do-do-do-do-do.
Sure, no. These dogs been a problem for a while now.
Since the war started, soldier on the march. He'll stop
Is that a bear? That is a bear.
Strangler, killer man for a chuckle, even butcher a cow. A dog, a kicking.
So this is what I was saying about maximising the potions and things from delayed recovery. So you want to use that, you know, wherever possible. So here I've still got uses of these potions, so I can still pile up on all of these.
Another one.
And have everything active all at once before I have to meditate or anything else. So still useful. And then we can just use this and pretty much instantly kill everything, which is tons of fun. Oh, so much fun. So that's everything absolutely wasted. Dealt with those no problem. Even though you can still hear them. and we're just going to clear all that stuff out. There we go.
What did you... Nothing. Sorry.
Right, so we've got to do that.
Right, if it's... What?
So now we'll need to meditate before we do anything else. So, alright. Now we're out of potions, so the toxicity will drop below 70.
Not my kind of game.
So it won't really be a problem. There is a quest called Witch's Forge, and if you pick up a book in Kaer Morhen, it'll start the Witch's Forge, which is a level 30 quest, and when you've completed that, you can actually get a master-crafted woven chest piece. So I do have that waiting for me in my stash, so I'll be able to use that very shortly, once I get one more level, and replace this superior woven one that I'm using currently, so that's all well and good as well. So pretty cool. Alright, okay. Skip through all this stuff. So we're just going to go and find out about the griffin and everything else.
Saturated with blood.
Yep.
A camp.
Find out all this.
These prints are older.
And then we're going to follow these.
Heavily armored. Elf guardians, probably.
Not that I really need the florins, but we'll grab those while we're here. Hate being wasteful, so you know. Wonder what happens when you use piercing cold on a nest, actually. You know, on a hornet's nest. Let's have a look. I'm sure there's one around here somewhere. Oh, it just knocks it off like regular Aard. Oh well, no fun.
Griffin's nest. What remains of it, at least. Corpse is a couple of weeks old. Bones still alive when the griffin brought him here. Dog took him.
Right, so we're just going to go through all this stuff. And like I say, I'm just going to be going through the main quest for the most part in this playthrough, I think. And have it a little more, not a speed run, I should say, because I would, you know, it's not really the style that I play, but interesting nonetheless.
Only a human could do this.
Silly humans. Just going to grab a load of this stuff. And then we'll be good to go. Must remember to get that last place of power. Whoa, gonna fall there. Ooh, that was fortunate. I do need to go and get that place of power before, you know, do anything else. Well, I'll talk to Vesemir first. Then I'll come back for this. I'll talk to Vesemir, then get the place of power. And then we'll go and kill the griffin. So as you can see, all those potions have worn off as well. The ones that aren't wouldn't have been active, the ones that would have worn off already, they've already ended. Still have quite a few of the powerful ones in place, so I might as well kill these things here. They're all going to die when that explodes. Easily done. We have quite enough sign intensity to be burning the drowners. So we have a good mix of skills as well. Take all these out. Oh, Teotoka blade. That's the one that that's one that can be really good if you get a relic version of it, because the relic version of a Teotoka blade can have something absurd like, I think it's 35% burning, which is nuts. So we're just going to make our way to this place of power. Soon enough I'll be meditating as well. So I mean, that's a good thing about delayed recovery as well. You only really need the superior Tornial for this sort of hybrid build that relies on the sign usage, but you can use the other ones as well if you need them, or if you can keep them easily topped up, which is part of the convenience of having that skill equipped. So that's everything grabbed there from what I remember. Oh, there we go. So you want to loot all this stuff if you're playing a regular playthrough, especially because you can get things that you can use there. Like I got emerald dust, so you can use that to make the Viper Silver Sword and Viper Steel Sword, which are really good. Now, where else do I want to be going? There's a way up to this bandit camp, which is here. Just going to meditate first, so I can get my potions active again, and then beat these guys. Okay. Are you really? You can also knock people over with active shield and exploding shield, which is kind of fun. But obviously, by far the most effective way is just going to be to hard sweep everybody. You can also freeze them as well, which is tons of fun. And even if it's an enemy that you can't really knock over, like the leaders with the axes who are resistant to it, you can still do a ton of damage and set them up for execution. So there's a lot of good uses of Aard, but like I say, its uses get limited in New Game Plus when the enemy sign resistance gets so high, because you can't knock them over anymore. So it becomes less useful, and you're much better off with another mutation. And that is why I wanted to do this particular playthrough and do it this style instead, which is kind of cool. Got the diagrams for those blades. Not that we're really going to be using them, but it's there as an option if we wanted. If you were to look at the Viper Skull blades compared to the ones that I've got currently, they would be a little bit higher damage, and we get that Aard sign intensity boost from those with a good poison chance. So they are pretty cool, but I don't really need to be using them because I have so many good runes in the ones I've got already. So, and I'll pretty soon be switching to the Griffin ones anyway, because I only need to get to level 40, and that'll happen very quickly, really, relatively speaking. So I want to go and get this other place of power. Where's Roach? Let's keep my toxicity topped up as I go. I should hopefully be able to reach this bit. There's like some interesting bits of White Orchard that it can be quite difficult to get up and down the various cliffs, so hopefully I can reach this thing. Oh, and there is one of the said cliffs. Where are we at? Ah, that's going to be annoying. Can I get up there? Probably not. Let's try. That's fortunate. Now, which one's this? Is this going to be the bandit camp, or is this the... Yeah, nice one. This is the one. Right. Keep that toxicity topped up again. Draw these things all in together. And then try and kill them all. And the amazing thing about this is that because we also have the blizzard, you get the slowdown effect, which is the extremely powerful and potent effect of blizzard. But normally blizzard doesn't last very long at all. But when you've got it in this kind of build with delayed recovery, that is probably the best thing about delayed recovery, is having that and the superior swallow active all the time, which is both extremely powerful effects, because superior swallow heals an absolute ton. So that's a lot of fun as well. Normally another ghoul will jump out here and you can get some extra experience from beating that. I don't want to meditate because I don't want to waste the alcohol, so I'm just going to leave it. There it is. And then I'll need to draw from the place of power. Ha! Instantly wipe that out as well. So each ability point I get at the moment is going to instantly just go into raising my sign intensity with this skill. Because if I, unequip this, you can see the difference there. Just get a little bit of boost to Aard sign intensity, a little bit of extra damage, and a higher chance to knock things over as well. So win, win, win. Win all round. Right. So now I just got to get back to Vesemir. Is there a fast travel sign here? Yes, there is. Cool. So just to save me having to travel back and lose all of the potion toxicity as I travel, I'm just going to fast travel back here. Speak to Vesemir. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this intro episode, giving some insight into delayed recovery and how the build's going to work with the piercing cold. So we're just going to take out the griffin and then go to Vizima. And I think we'll probably call it a day shortly after that. Let's go and speak to Vesemir. We'll be able to keep our toxicity up as well. Oh yeah, you can't do that versus these. Punch a cow! Didn't even get any cow hides. Pathetic. You always want to kill birds if you get the chance as well. With Aard or something else. It's very useful for getting feathers, which you can use to make the lesser glyphs, which is cheaper than buying your own glyphs. So if you can get feathers from those, so that's why it's worth doing. Anyway, speak to Vesemir.
Yes.
Get all our stuff prepared.
Good. And what up, Griffin?
One of the things I do need to do as well that I haven't done yet is I haven't been back here, so I haven't spoken to the innkeep again, because she will usually sell you decoys. So I need to try and get those if possible. Now, do you have to have left it a certain amount of time to speak to her again? I think you may do. Yeah, so she doesn't have the other decoy yet, which is a bit of a shame. Could do with getting that, really. It's alright. You can get them from other places later if needed, so. Stash these away right now. Don't need these. You can just sell them later. And these we can sell later on as well. I'm just going to stash everything like that first for now. The one thing I do need to do actually is try and get that decoy from her, because I had forgotten about that. So let me just see if I can get this to reset. Bram will sometimes have some things as well, because he has the Temerian DLC, so. But he doesn't always have the decoy if you've already bought one from her. He doesn't often have that, so. Yeah, so he's got these Temerian sets, but he doesn't have anything else just yet.
Take it.
So let's try a quick fast travel and then fast travel back. See if she has those. Apologies for the loading screens. But this is just something I actually want to try out myself, and it should be quite a short loading screen. Just moving from one bit to the other. Let's try it. Then we'll go and face the griffin. Keep my toxicity topped up whenever I can. Yes, I would like the other decoy card, please. Yeah. Excellent. So, good way to get the decoy cards that is to just, fast travel a couple of times and make sure that she sells you all three of them instead of having to go and get them from the various innkeeps in Velen. The decoys are very useful, particularly if you're using a what's the word? The decks that use a lot of spies and things, because your opponents will often play those back. And it's very useful if you are playing decks where the opponent is also using a lot of the spies, because if they play one, you can take those back as well. So you see they're killing those geese. I actually did get like quite a lot of the... oh, Vesemir's already running off. I did get quite a lot of the feathers there, and you can use those for those lesser runestones a bit later on. So just going to keep the toxicity topped up. And before I speak to Vesemir, I'll make sure it's as high as possible, so I don't have to pay as much attention to it in the actual fight. So I am 20 short there, so I should be able to just use one more, hopefully. Yeah. That's that. Right, so now we've got to take on the Griffin. I will need to use my superior hybrid oil. I would really recommend that you get all of these superior oils, potions, everything else. And that'll be better for when we come to do New Game Plus. So. And here is the Royal Griffin. I'll be taking these out. Yeah, let's. Okay. Right, so we'll be taking this thing out. And again, much the same. If it's an enemy that you can't knock over with Piercing Cold, then one of the advantages of having the reasonably high sign intensity that we try and have with this build is that by doing that you can you know, have access to the high sign intensity. So we're at 196 now, which is normally more than enough to burn enemies, and we have the Griffin School technique skill and the ability to just hit that fairly easily. So got some tracking bolts, can use those as well, although we are just missing there. Don't want to waste too many of them. Take that thing down. No, stop wasting the tracking bolts, Geralt. I want the other ones. Where are the other ones? Broadheads, there they go. These cause bleeding, so they're pretty interesting as well. But there we've got the bleeding going. You can see Aard sweep did do a pretty decent chunk of damage there. About the same as a sword swipe. But on top of that, you can do a ton of damage by setting these things on fire. Now, normally if you are hitting them with fire damage, you want to just leave them alone, but Vesemir keeps hitting him and very unhelpfully actually just stopping the burning damage from happening, so it's alright. We've got the superior swallow going as well, and then we can take this thing out. So a couple of uses of Igni, very easily took it out there. I'll be able to chase it down and do the same in a minute. I'll top up my potions again before I fight it. It should be no problem at all. Right, let's kill this thing. Another one there. Right, so same as we were doing just there. Can normally hit them down with Aard as well, which is useful. You get to keep all the bolts and everything else that you had from New Game Plus, so you can hit it with the broadhead bolt, just get that extra bit of bleeding in there. So each hit is doing good damage, and so is the bleeding, and so is the stun. So Piercing Cold for the win. Tons of fun. And we'll claim our first trophy. Right, so that's that thing taken out. And that's a relatively short episode for all of White Orchard being done there, because all they really bothered about was the places of power and the main quests. So, ton of stuff that we could have done that we didn't, but again, this playthrough is going to be more focused on just making use of Piercing Cold. And doing more of the main quests than anything else. So, got those places of power there. Got to speak to the Nilfgaardian guy. And we've got the 3 decoys as well, which will put us in good stead when we try to use the Nilfgaardian deck. Not really much point in me keeping my toxicity topped up, because it'll have died off by the time I need to do any other quests anyway, but never mind.
What the? You take... So, military... What? Yeah.
Right, so we're going to do all this kind of stuff. Now you can choose to take the coin or you can get more experience. Now I'll actually take the coin in this one, not that I would do normally, just because I don't need the experience points because I want to keep it a little bit lower. So I'm just going to leave it like that for right now. So normally I would have cleared all these things out to maximise experience, get a load of stuff. All I actually cared about really was the places of power. So I don't want to get too over leveled, which you can do very easily. So yeah, I'll be a little under leveled for the first few quests in Velen, but I'm sure they'll catch up. You always end up a little bit over leveled by the time you finish Velen and Novigrad anyway, for when you go into Skellige. And that'll let me do some stuff a little bit early and not get ahead of times afterwards. Again, just get some more feathers, and that'll be useful for when I want to make some more glyphs later on. Now, one thing I do just want to grab while I'm here is just want to put that regular crossbow away because I don't need that one, and I want to grab my mastercrafted woven armour, so that'll give me quite a bit more resistances, as you can see there. Quite a big little leap there, and I'll be able to equip that in just 500 more experience points. So I'll take that out. It's quite a heavy piece of armour though, 10 weight, but then again the superior one that I'm wearing is 10.41, so it's actually marginally lighter as well. Oh no, failed the quest. Oh well, never mind. It's going to be a consequence of doing it that way. Now Piercing Cold is particularly effective against bandits and human enemies like that. You do like a big chunk of damage with it anyway, and also it sets you up for a lot of instant kills, as you can see right there. Brutal. Excuses, excuses. Hey Yan, how we doing? There she goes. Alright, so we're going to go to Vizima and all that kind of stuff. That's White Orchard done. Right, so we're just going to go through all this and then I'm going to skip through, and that'll be Velen all sorted. So White Orchard all sorted as far as I'm going to do it. And then go from there. Hounds in the Wild Hunt on our case. Let me fight him. Let me fight him. I took out Caranthe already. Seriously, I'll fight him. Let me jump off. I've got Piercing Cold. I'll take him out.
This bard's tale begins near White Orchard, with my dear friend Geralt of Rivia seeking his lover of yore, the sorceress Yennefer. She'd eluded him for years, but now seemed just a few steps ahead. After many
Always fun.
trials and tribulations, Geralt finally learned that Yen was in nearby Vizima.
In that...
I'm going to skip through all that stuff. as well. And then we've got to make all these choices. Now we're going to do this the exact same way that I did last time, or near enough. Yeah, we killed Iron. I can't remember what we said last time, but yeah, killed him. We'll say that we went with Roach's path. Seal passed away, unfortunately, and so did Letho. Right, okay, so that's all that sorted. Grab all this stuff. The nostalgic memories of my no armor playthrough that I just finished before. Seems how I pretty much just wore these for a good chunk of the game until I managed to get myself a regular shirt. Alright. Right. I think that's right. Yeah, that's right.
The gentleman will address the Emperor only when asked and using the appropriate title. Your arch magnificency. I see the gentleman is in the mood for jest.
I'm going to try and call somebody your arch magnificency at some point.
Your Majesty will suffice. Spoken loudly,
Clearly and with respect. Fuck off, Emir. Don't even try it. Anyway, excuse my language. Yeah, fine. Only because the servant's going to get in trouble. Gimp. Anyway, so we skip through all this stuff. He's going to get Cirilla. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go through all this kind of stuff. Anyway. Right, go through all this stuff. Yep. What a waste of time.
follow me if the gentleman pleases. Please keep close. There are many honorable guests in the palace whom the gentleman
Disgusts.
need not bother.
Need not bother. See, normally you can play this guy, not this guy, not the Chamberlain, but there's a guy sat on the bench in the courtyard, and you play him and you get a leader card for the Northern Realms. But because I'm not going to be using the Northern Realms as much, if at all, if I can get away with it in this playthrough, it's not of any great importance that I beat him. So yeah, not a problem. How are we doing for money? Still 3,000 crowns, that'll do. And when I get my gear back, I will be using my woven mastercrafted chest piece instead of the superior one, which will be cool. So I just got to speak to Yen and then skip through all the rest of this stuff. There's tons of extra things you can do, like there's a button you can press over on that wall over there, on the column, and it gets you a saddle, but I've already got a saddle from Toussaint. So I've got the best saddle you can get anyway, apart from the Caparison of Lament from Hearts of Stone, which is the Gone to Odin reward. So no real need for me to do that either. So I'm just going to skip through all this stuff.
I can now. Look,
Okay, so Siri. Oh, bless her. Right, we're going to go find Siri in a bit.
but let's.
So let's go through all this stuff.
You must.
Right, so
The trail.
just going to be doing all this stuff.
I shall.
Skip through. Alright.
Same to. And Garrett. I should.
Right, that's all that sorted. Give me my stuff back. Need that woven armour. It's very nice, the woven armour. I like it. It's one of the better looking ones. Alright. But now I'll be able to put on the mastercrafted one. So that's the mastercrafted one. And that's the superior one. So they look quite different with the chainmail and things. They're both pretty good. But anyway, those are the ones I'm going to be using. So that'll do me for now. I got my woven ones back. And everything re-equipped, so need my bombs back. Most useful ones I find are the Moondust on the Northern Realms, the Northern Wind most of the time. I'll get my torch as well. So that's the guy that you can play for the Northern Realms leader card. But right now, I just want to be making my way to the Hangman's Tree in Bellin and be going from there.
Geralt and Yennefer were reunited. Something even more important.
Okay, now, just a quick thing. There are a few things that I'm going to be doing off-stream, because in order to use the Nilfgaardian deck, I want to get the spies, and those are random wins. So in order for me to do that, I'll have to save, reload, beat somebody, save, reload, beat somebody, until I get those cards, which could take a really long time and be pretty boring to do on stream. So I'm going to do some of that off-stream instead. I need to be able to buy all of the Nilfgaardian cards. So I'll be doing some things off-stream just to get my Nilfgaardian deck together. And then when I commence with the actual story missions again, I will stream that as the second episode of this series. So, yeah, a few things that we need to do there, but I am going to spend a bit of time in Bellin, actually off-stream, just getting some of the Nilfgaard deck together and getting those random wins. So, I hope that everybody has enjoyed this first episode. Like I say, it's going to be a bit more of a smash and grab, quickly paced playthrough. I just want to get through this one, making good use of Piercing Cold, see how it does in this low-level playthrough instead of doing absolutely everything all the time. Probably will take on a few more of the Witcher contracts, even the ones that aren't really necessary, just because it's fun to fight those type of monsters and see how this type of build does. Because I haven't used this sort of Woven Piercing Cold build, because usually, like I say, it does lose its effectiveness a little bit going into New Game Plus at a higher level, whereas you could use something else like my Viper Hybrid build if you were playing it at the normal level. So that's why this playthrough is hopefully going to be a ton of fun. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope you enjoyed that first episode as well. When this is uploaded to YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that good happy stuff. Because it helps me out, shows you're enjoying the content. Let me know any questions or any other queries and things like that you have, because we do love to discuss the game as well. So here we're just going to get to Hangman's Tree. Like I say, going to put that Nilfgaardian deck together off stream, and then I will commence at a suitable point for episode 2. As you can see, Geralt riding in there with his absolutely sweet mastercrafted woven armour, and the rest of it being the superior set. And when I get to level 40, I will be able to use that Grandmaster Griffin set that I've stashed away, with Roach looking awesome there as well. So thank you everybody for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time on the path.